Welcome to today's Explainer. We've got an incredibly fascinating manufacturing growth story to unpack today, looking at Jayaswal Neco Industries Limited, or JNIL for short. Now, if you're thinking heavy industry is just some slow-moving legacy sector, well, prepare to be surprised. We're going to decode exactly how a traditional manufacturer built an absolute fortress of a business moat and turned it into some truly staggering financial success. Let's get right into it.
Right off the bat, take a look at this massive leap in quarterly net profit. They went from 93 crore rupees in Q1 2025 to a whopping 194 crore for the quarter ended June 2026. That is a jaw-dropping 109% jump. And alongside that, they posted a 28% increase in sales, hitting 2,107 crore for the quarter. Honestly, in an industry that's notoriously known for tight, highly cyclical margins, seeing a legacy manufacturer post tech-like profit growth, yeah, that's the kind of thing that makes you stop in your tracks and really pay attention.
But, to really grasp what these numbers mean, we kind of need to step away from the spreadsheets for a second and look at the physical reality of what they actually do. We are talking about heavy, intensely energy-driven manufacturing. Think molten metal, roaring blast furnaces, and highly specialized alloy steel. This isn't writing code in a coffee shop. This is the gritty, intense, very real process of literally transforming raw earth into the fundamental building blocks of modern infrastructure.
So, moving into our first section, record-breaking financial growth, moving beyond just the numbers.
So how does a traditional industrial player pull off this kind of explosive profit growth? Well, looking at their full-year FY26 financials, you really start to see a picture of extreme operational efficiency. Just look at that free cash flow from operations, 1,251 crore rupees. And what's even crazier is the ratio of free cash flow to operating profit sitting right at 104%. What does that actually mean for us? It means almost every single drop of their operating profit is translating directly into hard cash. Throw in a return on capital employed of over 20% and solid operating margins around 19%, and you are looking at a remarkably healthy, cash-generating machine.
Which brings us to our next section, 5 decades of evolution, from foundry to behemoth.
Now, when you see a sudden profit spike, it's super easy to assume it was just a lucky market break, right? But if you trace this company's evolution, this overnight success was actually 50 years in the making. They started way back in 1976 in Nagpur as a really modest centricast foundry. We're talking just 0.02 million tons per annum capacity. Flash forward to 1996, they set up their first blast furnace. Then, in 2023, they hit a massive, game-changing milestone, 100% self-sufficiency in captive iron ore. And today, in 2026, they've cranked their blast furnace capacity all the way up to a staggering 1 million tons per year. Talk about a glow-up. They've evolved from a tiny regional foundry into a fully integrated steel behemoth.
All right, let's look at the strategy behind this in our third section, the integration advantage, building an impenetrable moat.
That word integrated is honestly the key to everything we've been talking about. JNIL essentially controls its entire value chain. By integrating backward to dig their own raw materials straight out of the earth, and then integrating forward to manufacture highly customized end products, they've essentially built a giant moat around their business. This protects their margins from the crazy, volatile swings of the global commodities market. Owning the whole shebang, the entire product lifecycle, is without a doubt JNIL's ultimate superpower.
Okay, so how does this seamless supply chain actually play out in the real world? Well, step one is the raw materials. A full 100% of their iron ore comes from their very own captive mines, specifically the Metabodili and Chote Dongar mines. And get this, their licenses for these are valid all the way out to 2052 and 2055. Step two is processing all that ore, using their own captive power and blast furnaces. And finally, step three is where they turn that processed metal into value-added, highly engineered castings and special steel. Because they own every step, they are never at the mercy of third-party suppliers for their most critical inputs.
And speaking of not being at the mercy of third parties, 62 megawatts is a number you absolutely need to know. That is their captive power capacity. Look, in heavy manufacturing, energy independence isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely crucial. Just a tiny disruption in power can ruin an entire massive batch of steel. JNIL generates this power themselves using smart, sustainable methods like waste heat recovery and capturing blast furnace gases. They are quite literally fueling their own success with the byproducts of their own processes. How cool is that?
Let's jump to Section 4, Diverse Manufacturing Ecosystem, Products that Power Life.
So what are they actually making with all these raw materials and self-generated power? If we break down their 4 main foundry divisions, you start to see how their heavy industrial output connects directly to your everyday life. The automotive division, they're making the differential and clutch housings for the tractors that farm our food and the earth movers that build our cities. The engineering division supplies absolutely critical parts for the railways. Construction handles these massive slag pots used in mining. And the Centricast division, they're churning out the spigot pipes and manhole covers that are essential for our roads, seaports, and general infrastructure. Simply put, their steel is everywhere around us.
Now, you can probably guess that producing at this immense scale across so many specialized divisions requires a seriously robust operational backbone. You can't do this without your people. Maintaining a highly stable, skilled workforce while keeping up strict safety standards has actually earned them a consistent Great Place to Work certification. And honestly, that stability on the factory floor is exactly why they're trusted as approved Tier 1 suppliers to major original equipment manufacturers all around the globe.
Moving on to our final section, future-proofing, leadership, ESG, and digitalization.
We all know past success doesn't automatically guarantee future results. Ensuring this massive growth spurt turns into a sustainable long-term trajectory really starts at the very top. There's this great quote from the retiring founding promoter, Sri B.L. Shah, where he says, "Leadership is not just about vision, it is about stewardship." As he passes the baton to the next generation, with Sri Arvind Jayaswal stepping up as chairman and Sri Ramesh Jayaswal as managing director, it signals a really seamless transition. It ensures the company's foundational values stay put while totally embracing a forward-looking mindset. And that forward-looking mindset, it extends deep into their day-to-day operations. Actually, it might really surprise you to see a legacy steelmaker leaning so hard into modern tech. They're utilizing zero-waste technology at their iron ore mines. They've implemented SAP S/4HANA and are migrating their systems to the cloud. They're enforcing green procurement practices, and get this, they even use AI-enabled software to track compliance and litigation. They are literally modernizing their core to operate with the agility and tech savvy of a Silicon Valley startup.
Well, that brings us to our final thought for today. We've walked through JNI's incredible profit jump, their 50-year evolution, and that absolutely unshakable mines-to-market moat they've built. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative question to ponder. In an era where it seems like everyone is outsourcing their supply chains to the lowest bidder, is complete raw material and process integration actually the ultimate blueprint for long-term manufacturing survival? It certainly seems to be doing the trick for JNI. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and we will see you next time.